How many would like a cookout out by the pool?
No one loved a family gathering more than the one person missing from this one, 34-year-old Paige Bergfeld.
I mean, she would literally beam, she would radiate. Those were the absolute cherished times that she enjoys most.
So when their daughter Paige vanished, Frank and Susie Bergfeld feared the worst.
This is a crime. There's a crime here. Instantly, I knew this was a problem.
She didn't want to even go out to dinner without her children.
For them, we need to find her. We need to bring her home.
Paige's older brother, Dr. Craig Bergfeld, is a long way from his home in Seattle. By day, he specializes in the facial reconstruction of children, and by night, he's dad to his own young family.
Is that the T-Rex board?
Yeah.
And a devoted husband to his wife, Callie. But now, living in his sister's home, Dr. Bergfeld has a new full-time job, Uncle Craig, to Paige's 3 young children.
Callie and I decided at that time that our role was to be there for the kids and try to, take care of them, be family there for them, just help them.
And I just remembered, little girl just going, so do you know what happened to my mom? Do you know where she is? And I was like, what do I say? So I said, wherever she is, she wants to be with you right now.
Paige had a circle of close friends.
Her kids love her. They glow when she's around.
And Paige was the type of parent that always was around, according to her friends. As a single mother, she had to be. Her ex-husband, Ron Dixon, was living in Philadelphia. After their divorce in 2006, Paige was the primary caregiver for their 3 children. It wasn't an easy job.
Paige is the most patient and loving mother I've ever seen.
But it was the only job Paige had ever wanted.
I think as long as I can remember, what she wanted to be was a mom, and she just couldn't wait to be that mom.
So when Paige Bergfeld disappeared, Sheriff Stan Hilke was pretty convinced this mother of 3 would not leave on her own.
There's nothing in their investigation at all that leads us to believe that she has abandoned her life or abandoned her children and gone off in that regard.
My daughter, she had 2 broken legs. She crawled in an outpost to her children.
Authorities started by looking at those closest to Paige.
It's kind of police investigations 101 that you usually will look at the emotionally involved people, ex-husbands or current husbands, etc.
And they quickly learned that Paige Bergfeld had not 1, but 2 ex-husbands. Her first husband was her high school sweetheart, Ron Biegler.
He was the first big heartthrob, the first big to love.
In fact, for the past few months, the 2 had been dating again.
She was very excited about rekindling her relationship with Ron.
10 years after divorcing her first husband, Paige said she was in love with him again. And ex-husband number 1 became the focus of the investigation in June 2007, when it's learned he was with Paige the day she disappeared.
We believe that, yes, that she was with her first ex-husband that day of the 28th.
Paige and Biegler had their last date at this rest stop, a halfway point between her home in Grand Junction and his home more than 4 hours away.
I understand that Paige and Ron Biegler had planned to meet, had a picnic, spent part of the afternoon together.
When she was driving home later that night around 9 p.m., Paige called Biegler from her cell phone. They spoke briefly, and Paige told him she'd call him later.
It has helped us identify persons of interest.
Cell phone records show that Paige was just a few miles from her home when she made that call to Biegler, and that phone call was one of her last. Paige never did call Biegler back that night, so the next day he tried calling her.
And her phone rolled over to the voicemail. voice message right away, so just to indicate the phone was turned off or the battery was down.
On Saturday morning, 2 days after seeing Paige, Beegler finally tried calling her at home. Paige's live-in nanny was taking care of her 3 children.
He actually called the house and got her granddaughter, and she was the one that told him that Paige hadn't been home since Thursday night. At that point, the alarms start going off, and he touched base with us, touched base with the sheriff's office, and things started getting in gear then.
And ironically, after Beegler called authorities to report Paige missing, he became one of the first they wanted to question.
And I'm sure he was open and willing to have them look at him.
Although Beegler was one of the last to see and speak with Paige, those who know him believe he's also one of the last who'd want to harm her.
We met with him recently, and I think he is very devoted to Paige and very emotional that she's not here.
I've spoken to him on the phone since she went missing, and it's obvious he's pretty distraught and upset that she's not around. And I know he's broken up by this whole thing.
Paige's friends were far more suspicious about her second ex-husband, Rob Dixon, the father of her 3 children.
A lot of her friends would say, "Where was Rob? I'm afraid Rob is involved."
Paige had an explosive, troubled history with Dixon.
911, where's your emergency? Listen, I become home, but friend about murdered.
My moderate to severe chronic plaque psoriasis made a